So I don't think the Void Spirit's going to be fretting all too much about that.
And the question is, where does the Dragonite end up? And I guess maybe the Void Spirit's giving you, I would assume, goes for the Yules, has the Yules with the Aether Remnant, can kind of secure that lockdown. You have another stun with the Ogre Magi, and now Doom, that's an SRF hero for sure. And I say for sure just to jinx myself, but I've seen SRF on this Doom a bunch, and he is disgustingly good at utilizing this hero. And it's not a hero we see all too often, but definitely adds a lot to what CDEC are throwing.
They've got a lot of area of effect damage right now in CDEC, right? Like you can toss out the Fire Spirits, you've got the Icarus Dive, you've got Supernova, of course, Sunray, you're going to have the Scorched Earth up on the Doom. And if they go for something like a Luna, for example, I really do feel like it's Luna or Spectre. You can just use the movement speed from the Scorched Earth to make sure that no one's trying to use the Fog of War to dodge out some of these Eclipse hits, because Luna's pretty fast in her own right. You don't need to be standing there and just right-clicking away with your Glaze, although that is the ideal scenario to be in.
So we'll see what LGD want to go for as they pick up the Ursa, which is something we've seen banned and maybe ignored in a game here or there. But Ursa, we've been talking about the Battle Fury Ursa, and it's certainly one of those heroes that can potentially deal with the egg.
You could deal with the egg. I don't know if you really super want to commit into it early on, right? Because Ursas these days, they don't get overpower until at least level 8. And so you're not going to have that instant ability to deal with it. Level 1 egg, it's not too big of a concern, really. I think you can leave that up to Mirana and probably the Shadow Demon for the most part. What I really like about the Ursa is that he's going to be able to create that pressure. He's going to be able to come online a little bit sooner than a lot of these other heroes, because sure, you might go into a Battle Fury with him, but you can still do a ton of damage in these team fights just using your innate kit. Like, it's not built around movement, it's built around team fight potential. And that's why I really like this Ursa here. And in addition to, of course, the Viper being banned out by LGD, perhaps indicating that they were going to go for a TA, it's one of those other heroes that just allows you to start ramping up the pressure a little bit faster than what I feel like CDEC might want. So I really like this Ursa, but there's still one pick left in the draft.
I get a little bit nervous about this Ursa, just because I feel like it might be able to get kited out, and they go Centaur. So offlane Centaur gives you lockdown options with, you've got the combination of the Shadow Demon, the Mirana, Dragon Tail, and now the Hoof Stomp, something that's tanky and can frontline and actually help you with the Stampede too. But again, I wonder if maybe the Ursa finds himself getting kited a bit.
10 seconds remaining.
Potentially, it's a lot harder to do so now that you've got the Earthshock, which moves you around, and typically after the Battle Fury build, you just go straight into the Abyssal for that little bit of extra movement, and then of course you've got the Stampede with the Centaur, right, where you're going to be able to position yourself again. But it's a Slark, okay. I mean, effective into a Centaur for sure. Bloodlust amps up his damage a fair amount. I like it. I feel like it could be... I don't know. I trust CDEC. They know what's going to work best for Army. It could even just be a sort of comfort pick situation where Slark's probably one of his most played heroes. Just give it to him. Let him sit back a little bit more. He comes online perhaps a little faster than the Spectre and the Luna. So wanting to trust in their own potential and run that into Chalice's Ursa, who's going to be wanting to do the same. And... well, at least this time around, we've got FY on a bit more of that playmaking style, right? He's going to be able to hit these arrows, try and take more of the offensive positioning in these team fights, and leave X-Nova to the defensive style.
Yeah, so we'll see if FY can be that playmaker for this game. Going back to Ame on this Slark, Lifetime has a 66% win rate on Slark in competitive play. It's hard to compare that to the Ursa straightforward. I think that may not be fair, just because Chalice has obviously taken a 3 roll for most of his career. But
being on LGD certainly helps with
yeah.
that Slark win rate. Let's be fair, but
that's for sure.
for the majority of armies, I don't know. I like LGD's draft better than I did in game one. I'm just worried about this old 11 Centaur because Centaur is one of those heroes that you have a small ability to come back by just going into the jungle, farming up a little bit with your retaliate, but it's rough to come back from a poor start, and I feel like this Slark Ogre is going to enable that to not just be super easy for them. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to toss up 3 heroes into the top side of the map here on LGD and hope that they can get an early kill and get that first blood and use that to potentially snowball into a bit more lane success than CDEC are wanting. So I for CDEC's sake, I hope they're going to position themselves quite defensively before that 1 minute mark to make sure that doesn't happen.
So we'll see what the setup ends up being, how this is going to go for them. With Ame on this Sark, I could see CDC working early a bit. With the Void Spirit and maybe the Doom, they're level 6 here for CDC. For Void Spirit, Doom, and the Phoenix seems like it could fight without the Sark. Is this a Sark game where we're seeing Diffusal now I'm looking to fight? Ooh, actually, hold that thought. LGD trying to go to the high ground with 4 heroes, but I don't know if they expected to run into the entire CDC lineup. X-Nova, he goes down. They might lose Somnus too. Already one permanent agility.
They've got the Ignite.
Oh, jeez. Is Ame gonna die for this? He wants it. And when Somnus burns out to Victoria, this is... I can't believe this is... I've never seen this early before. 3 kills before the horn.
Chinese Doto, let's go. This is exactly what you want to see. I mean, that's the thing. CDC had a read on exactly what LGD needed to happen to be able to give themselves an advantage, to try and get at least a neutral position coming into that mid game. And positioning themselves perfectly, they put the Ogre on the front lines, and you saw exactly what happened.
I don't know if, especially the way we've seen teams be very passive sometimes with bounty runes. I don't know if they were expecting all 5 heroes to be right there, but they were going for a similar play themselves. I guess maybe expect the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So I think continuing from that, I still feel like this game is CDEC's, just based off what I think is most likely to happen. But if LGD are able to get a good game for Old 11 out of this, they've got a very good shot.
So Ame, of course, coming in with that free Agi. Just one, though. Nothing too crazy. But it is a quick start on something that maybe a little bit later down the line you'll start to feel. Victoria just using that Ignite, throw some harassment out there, has 2 mangoes to work with. My question becomes, does he go to the Fire Blast level 2, or is it more on the Bloodlust? They'd love to have maybe a little bit of lockdown to add to Slark, who maybe we see go Pounce level 2. But I wouldn't be too upset going Bloodlust, have the Pounce, you've got the little lockdown that maybe you want with the Ignite Harass.
They're doing a good job to deny up a lot of this experience away from Ame, just to allow him, well, this aggression from Victoria is allowing him to get some semblance of farm. Finally hits up onto his level 2. My concern with Victoria here is that if you wanted to go into the Fire Blast, you just don't have the mana pool to sustain 2 abilities like that.
Yeah, so maybe just right into the Bloodlust. Gives him the extra movement speed, the extra attack speed could be a difference here as well. And there's the Ignite, there's the Pounce leashing. They go on to Old 11, they need one more shot. Instead, the Ignite will burn him out. Now FY, it might be his turn. He does not have Leap. He went Arrow Starstorm, pretty greedy of a build there for this Mirana. And one more shot, the body blocks from Victoria to allow Ame to get it. And all of a sudden, 3 permanent agility very quickly.
Yeah, this ain't looking good for LGD. That is not the start that you want to give an Ame Slark. Well, Victoria just positioning himself again. Oh, we've got a TP coming through here onto the outpost instead of the tier 1 tower, so maybe trying to get a long-range arrow in.
But even then, I feel they don't have the damage to take someone out. You're dealing with an ogre with 7 armor. He's not easy to kill. And they won't go for the arrow onto either of these heroes here for CDC. Pounce leashes.
Points in Dark Pack just yet.
He's got 2 into the Essence Shift. He'll look over at FY, and you can just feel these shots already. I mean, give him the Essence Shift, and all of a sudden, you really can't stand in this lane. He's gotten the second point, so the duration's double. It's 30 seconds, where you might not feel comfortable with 5, 6 stacks on Essence Shift. Once he goes into a Pounce, he's really going to start wailing on you if you're not too careful.
Yeah, they've got it again. He could opt to use it. They know that he doesn't have the leap available on FY, but just not wanting to dive into a full creep wave just yet. I really like Victoria's positioning as well. Even when nothing is happening, you know FY wants to try and make things go a little bit more in their favor in terms of some golden experience with arrowing that large creep in the large camp. Victoria made sure he was standing right next to him so that he split the experience 50-50.
And it's quite a start for Ame and Victoria again, proving why he's one of the better supports in this region. And this is a region with a lot of amazing supports.
Yeah. Nice play though by X-Nova. Being the only support to rotate down into the river made sure that, oh, I hear his Pounce.
They go after old 11. And all of a sudden, 3 more stacks on the Essence Shift.
They're having to do some unconventional things here. Or not unconventional, but just a little bit out of what LGD normally do. They backpull this. FY in the meantime is able to grab a courier in doing so. So, nice little victory for them.
SRF, meanwhile, up towards top. Ooh, Ame, bottom,
FY's
taking
dead.
a lot of damage, but FY, he ends up going down to Ame instead. And there's 4 permanent agility and 9 on the Essence Shift so early on. I don't even think old 11 would want to move up. I know Ame's sitting low, but that is... it's just, it seems so risky this early. Like, that's the ability of a quick couple of kills there on the Slark.
Oh no, even the... Oh no. Alright, this is nearly over. I know that's super premature, but with that Observer Ward, able to scout out the fact that you had this courier sitting at the secret shop and no Ring of Health now for old 11, so he can't even rotate back into the jungle if he wanted to.
Look at the pressure that Chalice has to deal with right now, too. He is forced to hide in the trees. A natural habitat normally for bears, but in Dota, not where you want to be staying for too long.
And this is an alpine bear as well. Look at that hat. Looking stylish.
Took that off some poor cowboy. Gosh,
Well,
this is really tough for Chalice. Now he's got both FY and X Nova here, so maybe they can make something out of this.
Trying to make something happen onto Somnus. Uses the Astral Step to kill the courier. And this could be a dead dragon.
And they go after Somnus while over towards top they're going for SRF. They'll get the kill there onto the Doom. They've got the Astral Remnant, or the Aether Remnant, sorry, as Somnus finally hit with the Fire Blast, and one more shot will get the kill. James gets credit for that one. X-Nova makes the rotation, but he was busy towards top, helping get a kill onto the Doom. However, you've now lost your mid.
He lasted for a very long time on this Dragon Knight, right? So that is a small bonus. It meant that you can get that return kill, which is going to be really important for Chalice to be able to pick up some of these earlier items. I think he's got his power treads coming out to him and a magic stick. So this is a lot more passive than you want to go for an Ursa in this meta. Maybe like a year ago.
Old 11. This is not the spot you wanted to be in. He's forced to, or felt forced to cut these creeps. And, well, now he pays for it. It's another kill here for CDEC, up 7-2. Victoria and XM combined to get that kill. Victoria level 4 deep into it already, and just 7 minutes into the game, you look at where the top 3 are for CDC in net worth.
Even just now, you know, you rotate someone away, James is able to grab a lot of solo experience in mid, and so they should have that Supernova to be able to contest these first bounty ruins and the outposts coming through, and I don't think LGD are going to be in a position to want to try and make a counterplay.
Meanwhile, Ame, because of their start, because of the kill now on Old 11, he gets a free lane.
Yeah. And now he can finally rotate through the jungle. The courier respawned, he got his ring of health.
You
He's
get the kill
forced
here
to go
onto
back into the lane.
James, and this is
Okay.
causing 3 heroes to come over, so I guess obviously you don't feel much value going down towards bottom to contest Ame, but at least you got something out of it, and it is just a Phoenix kill, but you'll take anything you can get at the moment.
Yeah. You can tell that a Centaur typically doesn't want to level the Stampede up this early, but just with how aggressive CDEC are being, you need to. You need that getaway potential with, I mean, you can just see here, SRF, he's positioning himself forward inside the Dire jungle, and he's got 3 people chasing after him, and you don't want to be popping this Stampede offensively, but, I mean, they just get nothing out of it.
And SRF putting him on the wild ride. LGD really looking to get off.
Bit of an Illuminati triangle happening around this Roche pit with the Observer wards. Confirmed.
The all-seeing eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of warding by the Roche pit. A surprising amount this early, but I guess maybe the fear is there that Chalice would be gutsy enough to go for it.
I don't think he's got the lineup to be able to do it. Like, he's forced to go away from this Battle Fury just because he realizes these timings are going to start happening for CDEC, and you can't play that passive role like he tried to last time around. He needs to go the Basher, he needs that extra movement, that extra lockdown, and like, he's just forced to run by this pressure coming through from CDEC rotating in.
Radiant's middle tower
Do they
is
get
under attack.
both outposts? Ooh.
Oh, this is big.
Maybe if XM stuck it, he was able to get that outpost. They'll take Victoria's life now, but I think wisely enough backs off that. We'll get 1 outpost, be happy with it.
Old 11's going for the second, or he's considering it, but backs off.
Certainly tough against Ame, who pounces in. When these Essence stacks start to get high, you really find yourself in a lot of trouble. The Hoof Stomp comes in, but now what else? Because Ame doesn't commit. And Pounce is only on 8 seconds longer cooldown. They've got the Doom out onto this Ursa, and now the stun is in. Ignite over. I don't think that's going to be enough to get Chalice unless you have a little bit of help, and there it is from James. They'll finally burn out the bear. Victoria looking over as the Fire Blast comes in into FY. They've got the Supernova down. Somnus trying to make something happen, but there is the Stampede. They get the kill into FY. The Pounce reaches from Ame. Ame has been on one this game, and now they've got the Aether Remnant. X-Nova comes in to put the disruption onto the Slark. That means they can't stop the TP of this DK. Not that they could stop it anyway with Pounce on cooldown, and X-Nova will run into the hands of Ame, who has now got 5 permanent agility and has found himself at a quick, fun 3-0-3 start.
Yeah. See you later, X-Nova. Doing the right thing, giving up his life to make sure his core live. Man, they're making a really
Chalice?
aggressive move here.
An arrow hits on the Void Spirit. I think, honestly, I don't know if they were really expecting the arrow to hit there, but they get 2 kills as they take XM and SRF's life.
Again, that's the sort of thing that you need to do at this stage of the game, right? You're playing from behind. You need to try and go for the unexpected and to throw back to Sing Sing days. Like when he was playing Mirana, he finds it easier to hit arrows against people that knew what they were doing as opposed to people that didn't, because you just expect them to be in the logical position.
Dire's top tower is under Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
So the game tilts back towards even. You've got Ame who takes the top tier 1. He is just a couple hundred gold away from finishing off this Shadow Blade.
That's going to be dangerous, particularly if you're FY, right? You have the damage potential to even burst him through without that leap being a factor. You're not going to be building into something like a 4-staff on this Mirana, so not too much escape potential there.
Dire's middle tower is
Do you
under attack.
think the Shadow Blade is going to be better than potentially that that Diffusal that I was thinking maybe would come out for Slark?
He could even opt to go for both, to be honest. Just wants the Shadow Blade first to be able to snowball into it. Maybe just put some additional pressure onto Chalice. Maybe allow this Ag Scepter to be built up by XM. Like, sure, it's great to be this Slark and you've had a fantastic early game, but unlike the Void Spirits that we've seen thus far today, you need to make sure that he has that mid-game influence. And well, he's already got the Staff of Wizardry, and might be expecting the move into the Yule Scepter. Wise to purchase that one up first. But I think I agree with this rush if they're able to get the Ame space creation going on.
So Ame with the Shadow Blade. Let's see if he can find anybody out. Old 11 not coming south near the Slark. But certainly close. And Ame, he's smelling blood right now. He is having that kind of game, especially where he's at with the net worth. It's surprisingly even overall, but maybe that's due in part to the difference between the Mirana and the Phoenix. And things look okay for CDEC. I'm surprised it's that close.
Yeah. Oh, bottom side. They might be in a little bit of trouble here.
Moonlight Shadow, XM hit with the stun, and they'll have the arrow to follow it up. They'll get this quick kill on XM.
Okay.
They're looking for more.
They go for the chase. They pop the Dragon Form for it.
Dragon Tail
Bit of an
just at the
overcommitment.
edge. And there's the Ogre gone.
The question is, what do you do now with the Dragon Form, right? You don't have the splash damage, so you can't take up this Ancients. You, I guess, could rotate towards mid, but no, he's just going to back off. So yeah, maybe just wanting to absolutely secure it. They were chasing him underneath a tier 2 tower, so didn't want to run that risk of losing out on a kill and being turned around upon. Yeah, that space that's been created for XM, if you're going to keep dying, it's not quite as effective, right? Like, this Shadow Blade build doesn't help all too much with farming. The attack speed is nice, but you need to be getting kills with it as well. Oh, another smoke here coming out from LGD. They just need to put their foot on the throat right now.
Look over and, oh god, right on the Somnus, but the arrow hits on SRF, the Dissimulate. Can they get anything going? The Doom is out onto the center, but maybe not the person you would want to go after with that Doom. I would say maybe more Somnus. The disruption from X-Nova, the bounce leashes. Ame continuing forward will get the kill on the 1, but that's all for now. Centaur eating that Doom and being okay.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit too defensive of a Supernova coming out from James. I thought he might be wanting to pop it up onto that high ground, give a little bit of extra vision, and really at this stage you don't want to be fighting into this Slark, so I don't think LGD were in any sort of position to try and turn around and kill the egg.
Over towards Chalice. They've got vision on him.
With this
Sentry
courier going down would be a big deal, but no, he's going to be able to position himself that he does get the Basher delivered.
Fire Blast onto the Centaur. Sunray right there, but they've got themselves the Hoof Stomp. Fly making the rotation too. You're with Somnus. So Victoria, he's dead for the 5th time, but I think he'd rather be dead than anybody else. That's for sure. Now, Ame's going for Assange. You know, not into the defusal. Do you see him finishing off SNY? And then, you know, is this the right build that you think, you know, the Sark should go for?
It depends what it ends up being, right? Like, with the Sanj, you've always got the potential of converting it into a Halberd, which is nice against the Ursa. It forces him to go into that BKB a little earlier, or can even punish a slightly slow BKB usage, because if you get the disarm off before the BKB, it still works. But, I don't know, I feel like you've got control over this game, and you don't need to go that defensive. So, SNY is probably the way to go. I don't know, I just feel like something, I don't know, a little more aggressive might be the ticket. Will he find X-Nova here? They've got vision, and he's going to be able to scout that out.
Old 11 gets caught. Moonlight Shadows use Sunray on top, but they've got the Sentry down. They see X-Nova making the rotation with Chalice here. The Sunray right onto the Centaur. They'll get the kill, but they look over at SRF to try and get at least the Doom, and they will. Icarus dive over, and the Supernova. They've got the stun onto the Slark, but they look over. Chalice is under the Moonlight Shadow. They throw down a late Sentry. Supernova pops, but it's too late to lock in these heroes. They also did take out the Shadow Demon, so a 2-for-1 that slightly favors CDEC.
Yeah, they're going to be able to grab this tier 1 tower as well. Shouldn't be too much resistance against it, but Yeah, he's positioning themselves like it when Pig catches the arrow.
Can't jump with the Aether Remnant right there, though.
Oh, they're going
Dragon
in.
Tail out on XM. Sunray trying to keep him alive, but he is stunned forever and will be gone for 34 seconds.
Huge deal to be able to pick that one up. Defending the tier 1 tower, getting the kill onto XM, delaying that Ag Scepter out even further. He was only about 300 gold away, and, well, now with the Ursa combination, perhaps thinking Roche, but he's not that healthy, having to go all the way back to base.
Ame will continue to farm. He's got 7 permanent agility. Now switches from Sanj and Yasha, I believe, to the Silver Edge. And the break mechanics there, that will certainly help with a couple of these heroes. Blink Dragon Tail. Can they continue for more? They just don't catch him out. I know X Nova was in the midst of getting a disruption.
Ame's got the Essence Ring coming out to him. I almost feel like it'd be more useful onto XM here, especially after he finishes up that Ags. I don't think you have the potential to burst through the additional 200 or so health that you get from the point booster, and then, of course, you've got that small heal coming through from the neutral item as well. But only 50 gold away. He's finally going to be able to grab it, but the key question is, will that 3 or 4 minutes or so that LGD have been able to delay this be enough to bring them back into the game?
X Nova holding a couple of smokes in his pocket. Potentially looking to make a move, again, maybe towards Roche, as we were thinking a little while ago, but they would probably want a pick off before they go and do that. However, they start with the Moonlight Shadow. And let's see where they go from here. Ooh, I think... Did they catch some vision? Yeah, they've got vision of at least Victoria. Not certain if they spotted anybody else.
They're all sticking together. Clumsy Net's pretty damn handy. It's just sitting on the ground for now. Oh, Somnus blinks forward.
Somnus and short. And the Ags is here for XM. They've actually caught Chalice by himself away from his team. And moving forward is Ame. They've pushed Chalice back where they might be able to cut off the rest.
They're getting aggro. Slark, they know they don't have Enrage, they don't have Stampede, they don't have Moonlight Shadow, and they've got everything right now on CDEC. They could honestly even just consider a Roche. Like, take mid tower and then Roche.
Interesting tactic there from LGD. Chalice coming in, and he was the one who ends up getting spotted. So when you were able to single him out, it seems like LGD all of a sudden put the brakes on that move. Silver Edge, not terribly far.
Solar mission. Not terribly far. I don't know if it does a ton against this. I suppose some of the damage, like being able to man fight into it with the Ursa, is a little difficult. 11's going to have to be careful here.
But there's the Doom, stops the TP, and this is another kill here for CDEC. They will grab the life of old 11. It does come at the cost of a Doom, but at the same time, that is another kill for Ame, who finds himself just 300 gold away from the ulti orb that finishes off the Silver Edge.
And other than this Essence Ring on the Slark, they've got basically the perfect neutral items right now on CDEC. Ogre needs that little bit of extra cast range, and the mana regen's always nice, because Fire Blast sucks in terms of cast range. Clumsy Net, of course, you can just, you know, Icarus dive through, land that onto someone, and be perfectly happy with that. Grove Bow for the Void Spirit, you use your Astral Step through the units. That counts as the attack, and then you cast all of your abilities with this Arcane Rune that he's still got bottled. It's looking pretty damn handy for him. Line being drawn to Roshan. They know they've got the Ursa, they've got that Roshan taking potential. It's just about getting that Battle Fury, oh, sorry, not Battle Fury, Black King Bar online for Chalice next.
Arcane power.
You'd probably feel more comfortable near the pit with that BKB. And of course, the line was drawn, and they're going to start to posture that way. But still, it's without the BKB, and maybe a little bit difficult. But they'll go for the arrow on XM and ends up hitting the Ogre. Dragon Tail hits on Ame, but they've got the Fire Blast on Old 11 as well as the Hoof Stomp coming through from SRF. Spirit Vessel, Stampede, they're going the other way. SRF loses life very quickly. Chalice moves in, goes after the Ogre, the Aether Remnant, and now
Nice
XM,
egg.
can he get anything out of this one? Supernova on the back lines, Chalice is there, one more shot, no! Supernova goes off, oh dear, Chalice! He ends up dead. Sunray run on an F-fight with the Spirit Vessel on him. X-Nova's going to try and TP out. Do they have an Aether Remnant? No, they don't. But back towards bottom. Old 11's being chased here by Ame. He's got the break. He has the pounce. He'll leash him up and get the kill. Double kill for Ame. And all of a sudden, CDEC feel like they are running away with it.
Yeah, just these little differences, right? You had X-Nova helping, trying to kill that egg, but perfect positioning there, forcing him to use the hop down onto the low ground, and that was the split second that they needed to get that egg to pop. I think that's Clumsy Net doing the work as well in that team fight, making sure that they weren't able to just easily rotate through. SRF, it's unfortunate for him as an individual player, right? He's like, man, I just keep dying first in the middle of these team fights, but he tanks up so much. He's got the status resist, he's got the evasion from the Heaven's Halberd, he's of course a Doom, so he's inherently tanky himself. And really, what do you do against it?
Chalice is going to go for this.
Going in.
That's wild. And immediately doomed. He was running without any care for his own life, and Victoria was the one who caught him out. They get the kill on X-Nova. They'll find Chalice once again. That feels like such a move made out of desperation, and God, it goes wrong.
It was, like, he doesn't even get off the Enrage in time, so he doesn't get that increased status resistance to be able to contest. He sold, I'm pretty sure, a bunch of items so he could just afford that BKB for that team fight, having lost some from the previous engagement. So, it's looking dicey, and they're just continuing to push forward now on CDEC. LGD on the back foot once more.
So onto the tier 2 they go.
Well, you look at this courier wave coming through. 9 mangoes on the Ogre's courier. And it's going to be an S and Y for Ame as well. Oh, we're going to find out.
Ame here with Victoria. Sorry, Victoria. My life is way more dear. I would help you, but I'd like to stay alive.
Just carry things.
I'll take that. The prize is mine.
Well, again, tanking up another gank. You've only got so many smokes, and it is still an ultimate expender just for a support, even though you might not think of Moonlight Shadow quite in that way. But now level 18 acquired by Ame. He's going to be roaming around the jungle, finding people a lot more. And he's got that Silver Edge, and one aspect of it, of course, the break is really useful. You've got some good stats on it, but that extra 6 seconds of uptime of the Invis 2 means that you can just continue to be this menace roaming around the map.
How can LGD bring this back? It is a tough road, and here comes Ame, but does he have enough? The Fire Blast hits onto the Centaur. They've got the rest of the team here for the side of CDEC. They'll get the kill to the Centaur, who uses the Stampede before he ends up dead. X-Nova on the run. He survives, but the Stampede, it ends up down the steps. So Ame, he's going by the tier 3. They didn't even have the tier 2 yet. SRF again, he's the one who ends up falling, but the damage onto Ame with the Essence Ring takes a little bit longer. Supernova will pop LGD out of the range, and LGD are very familiar with teams going in too deep, and they will get the kill on Somnus still. They look over at Chalice with the Sunray on him. He'll Earthshock away from the rest of the CDEC squad, but it may have been almost too deep.
Yeah, hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Poor SRF, it just feels like he's lacking that tiny little extra bit of survivability. I think he's going to be so much more confident when he finishes up this BKB. He didn't get off the War Stomp, didn't get off the Doom. Don't think he even got off the Halberd. He was just chain stunned from 100 to 0. So there's it's a bad sign for LGD that there's still room for CDEC to improve how they're taking these engagements.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
This is a 9,000 net worth lead here for the side of CDEC, and it is such a struggle to get back into this one.
Man, they're just They're hunting. They have to. They're like, we need to get a kill onto this Slark. He's going to walk underneath the sentry ward, which is a little bit of a concern. He knows that it's there, though. But it's a fake back.
Fire blast in. They've got the pounce. It leashes up. They go after this Centaur. They've got the Aether Remnant. They'll pull him in. The Sunray is there. They'll get the kill on Old 11. Now they look over at FY. Icarus dive over from James. He doesn't have the Supernova for another 12 seconds with the BKB being popped by this Ursa. He's also doomed. He was hit with the Heaven's Halberd, and there wasn't much he could do to SRF. He's never been so happy to halberd a bear. They look over as there's the disruption to save the life so far of the Centaur. His second life, Chalice on the run. FY, he ends up dead. They'll get the kill on a Chalice. They'll look for more. He doesn't have buyback. Fire Blast is there. They take out Old 11 for the second time, and they look for even more. Spirit Vessel back onto X-Nova. FY on the run. The rest of the team is out of this one, and they are diving tier 3s again.
Okay, maybe we're a little deep, they say, as they back off. Not even needing to use the Supernova that time. Finally getting the Doom out before he goes down on the Doom. And it honestly... LGD, they got their spells off, right? Like, they used everything. They even used the Enrage to cut down that Doom's duration, but it's not enough to enable you to survive.
This is been so hard for them.
It's looking rough. Similar sort of game time as well from the previous series that we were seeing, that 27 to 30 minute mark, and already knocking on the door of the tier 3s. Happy enough to go back for now, and XM, he's got the luxury of going for a Kaya and Sanj. Haven't seen that one for a while, but realizing that perhaps earlier in the game he was dying a little bit too much for his liking, wanted the extra status resistance while still being able to amp up his own damage. Oh, and the Orb of Destruction as well. Okay, well now that's the Slarks, so he's going to be doing even more damage.
Oh gosh.
So what does Doom have? Doom's basically the only one that doesn't have the perfect item. Oh, and okay, they've got a Paladin sword too. This is ridiculous.
Oh, how I wish I had this back in Dark Reef.
BKB on SRF. Great neutral items coming out. Level 3 Supernova available. Reaver picked up. I suppose that's the one danger. Slark dies with no buyback, and they're able to take a couple of towers. Roshan could potentially spawn in 1.5 minutes. But he's getting closer to getting even just that Satanic for himself. Only 1,000 or so gold away. Making the aggro plays.
Like Shadow Blink, Dragon Tail, Ame in some trouble. He's getting down very low, and he doesn't end up dead. Oh my god, he just survives on the edge of life. They've got the Doom back out on a Chalice. They will lock him down and get the kill. Both of them gone, both of them without buyback. Counter that aggression with ease.
That was their one chance. Perfect positioning from James there. Gets the Sunray off immediately, enabling him to survive just long enough to pop that Shadow Dance, and just lacking the damage right now. Poor Chalice. Only has the Skull Basher, the Power Treads, and the Javelin, so could have maybe gotten a little bit more lucky with some of those procs, but it's wishful thinking at this point.
And there goes the tier 3. Rax soon to follow.
Dyer's middle barracks are under attack. Dyer's middle barracks has fallen.
Just one set so far.
On top of the rest, you're always going to have this passive pressure coming in throughout the mid lane. You're going to need to address it at all times, and well, they're going to need to address their base right now. Finally popping the Glyph. They don't even have a repair kit. Of course, CDEC do, just to cover themselves from any sort of aggression or disastrous team fights that might come through for them. But that's a Satanic picked up for Ame as well, so this Slark ain't dying. Level 20 on XM as well, so he's gone for the spell amplification. They just want to end the game right now. They're throwing Ame onto the front lines. This could be it though. If they burst him 100 to 0.
Again, just surviving, and every single time He then turns it around in their faces. I mean, look at the essence shift stack up as they go after Chalice. They take him out for the 5th consecutive time in these fights. They may not get much more otherwise, but to shut down the Ursa continually really makes it difficult for LGD.
Yeah, I know it's a lot to say, and they didn't have enough information there just from playing on the back foot all game, but if they kill Armate, they have a very small window of opportunity, and, you know, could be the difference from FY leaping in, using the Starstorm to burst him down before he's able to get all of that regen coming through, both from himself and the Satanic and his team. But, yeah, I think they've expended their life in this game.
And they're going to continue to dive forward. They'll find themselves a kill onto Old 11. And you got 5 seconds till Chalice is back up, but there's the Doom onto this DK. They've wrapped him up, and there's the GG. So CDEC, SAG, they pull off the upsets. Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's the best way to put it, just wow. You know, to think we have Aster and LGD fighting for their lives in a couple of days' time against each other. So one of those two is out of this tournament in 2 days. Is not what you would probably have expected coming into this one, and certainly gives them a lot to think about. You know, it seems like CDEC and Sparking Arrow have used these 3.5 weeks or so very wisely. You know, practicing up, getting their synergies down pat, because they look like well-oiled teams.
Yeah, this is looked really good for CDEC. This is the first loss for LGD since from someone other than Vici since May 8th when RNG beat LGD. I mean, that is what, almost 2 months basically, of just straight winning. That includes winning 2 BO5s and a streak of, I think, 13 or 14 series. Like, LGD was on one. I also think this is the first time since the Summit 5 that CDC has beaten LGD, and the first time since, I want to say, Starladder a long time ago, since Ame has beaten LGD. Like, it's so crazy, like, that CDC get this upset. And not even a 2-1, a 2-0, where they look great in both games.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that it's a crappy situation for everyone to be in, but this COVID situation means that you have so many more opportunities for these teams to get practice in against the best teams in the world. Like, that's how you get better. Play against the best, you lose, you learn, you apply it to your practice, you scrim, and then results like this can happen.
That is so great for CDEC, not only the organization, but the team as a whole, where you finally put the pieces together and you've taken down what has been the best team in China in your first BO3 of this event. That is such a feeling. So well done from CDEC. LGD, of course, here they need to make some changes. Figure out, and changes maybe not in the major sense, changes just in the what did we do wrong sense. Why did we get beat the way we did? Is it the heroes that we're picking that maybe are not enabling our players like FY and Xnova? Or is it, our builds, like just the little things? Like, it was so good from CDC. And, LGD have to try and dissect that and get those reasons why. Yeah,
and I think we will actually get to be the ones that cover that in a couple of days, right? That's when we're back next, taking a small break tomorrow for MLP and John, I believe, to cover the first 2 games of Group B.
I think I'm not casting again until, I don't know. You're right. Yeah, I thought I was a little bit of more of a break than that, but yeah, you're right. We'll be back with those games. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. It's how these groups are gonna, I mean, even the other group, how is that gonna go? Vici, IG, RNG, Eom Immortal, like that seems like everything is nuts in these 2 groups.
Yeah, so the storyline will continue. That's the important thing. But I'm going to enjoy the rest tomorrow. It's my birthday tomorrow, so
Ooh.
I'm going to relax, enjoy some iced cream, go and see some friends, keeping it COVID appropriate. Not too many people, but yeah, gonna have a good time.
Keeping it distance, but a happy birthday nonetheless. And that is it for us today. As CDC, they locked down the upset, and that is it here. So CDC 2-0 over LGD, SAG 2-0 over Aster. For us here, myself, Bkop at Bkop92, and Danog at Danog, right? Simple as that, making it super simple for me to remember. And that's it for us today. We'll be back in a couple of days. Hope you guys have a wonderful one, and I hope you have a fantastic birthday. We'll see you guys again soon.